Hello, and welcome to another episode of In the Lab with Matt Carmen. I am, wait for it, wait for it, Matt Carmen, your host. Thank you very much for checking out our YouTube show. At first, I just want to discuss where this is sponsored by Fermented Pixels, in which I am the creative director or chief creative officer, or however you like to say it, and founder of the company, Fermented Pixels. We're located in Dumbo, Brooklyn. We're a creative digital agency. And if you ever want to check us out at fpix, that's fpix.co. And if there's anything you're interested in working with us on, or you have any questions, please reach out. We're an open book. Well, one shout out I'd like to give to a new online presence that we created for a very high scale boutique eyelash agency, a salon in the heart of New York City called Envious Lashes. So we completely revamped their online presence. We work with them to create new brand messaging. And you can check out the new site at enviouslashes.com. I'm sorry. And you could even, if you want to go take a chance and look at the Wayback Machine, I don't know if everyone's privy to what that is, but you can see what websites look like beforehand. Or if you want to just see some screenshots that we took just to show you the transformation that we made, please reach out. Anyway, on to our guest today. Today we are speaking with Kara Jensen. She is the creative principal and co-founder of BOP Design. They are specialists in B2B, web design, marketing, content marketing, and a whole other plethora of great skills. And I highly recommend you checking them out. It's bopdesign.com. And people might ask me, why am I talking to other agencies in the same field? It's because of our philosophy here at Fermented Pixels. We don't believe that this is competition. We believe that in relationships with other agencies and learning from each other. And we think there's enough work to go around, and we're all in a different sphere, that I really find it enlightening to talk to other agencies and other people that are doing the same kind of work, and keep those kind of connections open and show that business doesn't have to be that kind of way, so that's our philosophy here. The last few we interviewed with BOP Design, as well as High Quality. They both are experts in their field. They found their niche. BOP Design is a B2B company who primarily focuses on that, and they do a great job. High Quality is a company that focuses on e-commerce, which is great as well. And I battled with this a little bit too, and I'm sure maybe you have as a business owner, because everyone says you must find a niche. And I could never decide I wanted to find a niche in business. Although I lean more toward the creative side of things, and I like maybe a little bit more avant-garde, a little more creative, but I also love corporate design. I've done tons of work for that. I love the challenge of making a corporate design still modern, still speak to the demographic. So I could never pick an industry. So at Fermented Pixels, we decided that our niche was not industry-based or specifically based. We do e-commerce, we do both of those things. Not that there's anything wrong with having a niche. I think that's a great thing to do. But our take was to be a company that was more of a place that you come to for a unique perspective, people that are looking for something different, not just to match their competitors, but to really, really stand out and to be bold, if you will. And we provide a lot of help with brand messaging and how what we call the 7-second rule. When someone lands on your website, they have 7 seconds to understand who you are, what you do, what are your differentiators, and how do they proceed within the site to get to the ultimate business goal that you're looking for. And uniqueness is the key. And everything we do is bespoke, which is custom. Obviously, every single thing we do from the ground up is just completely custom, and we work directly with the clients to to make sure that we meet and exceed their business goals and give them a site that just stands far above the competition. Anyway, enough about us. The Kara Jensen that we speak to today, well, not today, but recently, it was a great conversation, and we spoke about many different things. We talk about how she got into the creative field, what inspired her to start an agency, how did they come up with the name Bop Design, what are the advantages and disadvantages of having a partner, and how did they make the decision to specialize in B2B. What was some of the, of course, we always ask this during this pandemic, what were the challenges that made you stay afloat during COVID, and any lessons that they've learned that they'll keep using. Also just talking about what their differentiators are, what separates them from the competition, and how they work with that. And they do a lot of content marketing, which is something we don't really do much of, but we do have connections, but we have partners, but they really focus on content marketing, which we talked a lot about content marketing and the effects and how important that is, which I think is ridiculously important. And then we always ask that same question of what would you, advice that you would give to a new entrepreneur. And yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff, and it was a great conversation. And I hope you guys enjoy it. You can see them again at bopdesign.com. They're a New York agency as well. And I now bring you, without further ado, Kara. Kara, welcome to In the Lab. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to talking to you today.
Yeah, I like to, I'm sorry, I'm still getting used to the Zoom here. I like to go in the beginning, the back and forth to have it, and then, the two screens, the dual screens at the beginning, and then go to the individual when we start talking. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time out, and I know your time is valuable, so we'll jump right in. So tell us a little bit about your background. What got you into the creative field, and what was your journey to Bob?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I actually was always, pretty creative as a kid. But when I went to college, I decided to study business because it was something I was interested in. Soon into college, I was probably my sophomore year. I was like, this is getting boring. And I had a friend who was a graphic design major, and I saw all the cool projects she was working on. And one day, one of my friends, Jen, and I literally just sat down on her dorm floors and picked out new majors because we were just both sick of being business majors. So yeah, I decided to try my hand at graphic design. I had to take some portfolio classes to build my portfolio to get into that portion of the school at that point. But I fell in love with it, and I met great people. I got to freelance in college. I got to an awesome internship, and then kind of my dream after college was always to start an agency at some point. But
yeah. What school did you go to? I'm sorry, did you say that? I did.
I went to the College of New Jersey. So I grew up in.
Yeah, I went to a state school myself. Honestly, I don't think it matters what school you go to. I mean, I know great designers that never went to school, and I know people that went to Pratt, and well, I won't say anything terrible, but obviously, it's really all about your eye and your integrity. It's about your your grit, you know. So I don't think
It's true. Yeah.
yeah. So
I
that's
completely
pretty
agree.
awesome.
It's like, and
So
how much you love it. Like, you know, I know a lot of people who studied it, but never like actually had a career in it. So
yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah, I was a late bloomer. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I mean, I barely got out of high school. I was not into education at all. And then, and not until my late 20s, I said this on the podcast, so I don't want to say it too much, but I discovered modern art and I realized there was a bunch of freaks out there like me. And then I discovered Dada movement. And then that brought me into graphic design. And then I realized I took a couple classes, realized I had skills, and it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is my calling. So you have to follow it.
That's
So
awesome.
how'd you come up with the name? Now you're the co-founder of Bop Design, right?
Yeah. So I actually,
How did that begin?
yeah. So I, you know, graduated school. I had a couple of jobs. I worked a lot in my first, I would say, actually, it was my second big graphic design job was at a mortgage company, not too far away from the financial crisis of like 2008, 2009.
Okay.
And then I worked there for 3 years. It was a really good experience. Obviously, they shut down when the economy tanked. And then I started working at a big like financial firm called LPL Financial. I was there for about 3 years. And, you know, I never, that time was so, it was just so, you know, uncertain, kind of like the time we're in right now, right?
Yeah.
But there was so much uncertainty, and I was kind of tired of having other people like dictate my success.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was married. I had recently gotten married, and my husband was in sales, and he was working at an agency, like a production agency, doing sales. So I said, I was like, why don't we like we're both kind of tired of this, like just tired of other people dictating our careers. I was like, why don't we try our hand? Like, why don't we try our hand, join our forces? Like, I'm the creative, he's in sales. Like, let's try
Perfect
and
combination.
start a company. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And so we did, and we for like a year and a half, we both worked kind of either part time. I worked full time, he worked part time. We kind of bootstrapped the money, started Bob Design. Eventually, we had enough money to go full time, and the rest is history.
so it's just the two of you that founded the company, then, right? Okay.
Just the two of us. Yep.
Excellent, excellent. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, sales is like the biggest. I've been in the business for 20 years, and I've worked for, you know, I only started the company 2 years ago, so I'm a creative director for various agencies, but I never dealt with sales very much. You know, of course, I had to go to meetings and sell stuff and stuff like that, but it wasn't sales exactly, you know. And I realized, oh
Yeah.
my God, sales is extremely difficult, completely different skill set, and I am learning very quickly my shortcomings on that. But it's been a fun adventure. So I always wanted to start my own company. I always wanted to do it my way. So it took me a while to do that, but it's been a fun journey, and I'm still enjoying it.
Good.
Yeah, sales. It's great that you had someone that was, you know, that had that sales. You know, because it's a different type of personality.
Totally.
Sales and designers, it's very odd for me to get into that kind of role. I'm kind of
It's for
enjoying
sure.
doing it in some ways because it's just stepping out of my comfort zone. But you know, it's not natural.
It isn't. No, I think, you know, our brains work totally different.
Absolutely.
Um, and and it works, you know. I mean, that's kind of like been I think a big part of, I feel like, our
Yeah.
success. Like, we're able to grow a little quicker
Yeah.
because it wasn't like I was learning how to do sales, he was able to do it. I could focus on the creative, and then we could build the company. But yeah, no, I mean, it's fun. I get involved in obviously a lot of sales conversations now,
Yeah.
but I've learned a lot
Yeah.
over the last
It's
11
exciting.
years.
It's exciting, right? It's a little exciting.
It is
I'm
exciting.
definitely
Yeah.
not a sale. I don't want to do that all the time. I like to create. Obviously, I'm more of a creator. As you can see, my crazy background here. Um, uh, um, but yeah, it's I find it very interesting. So how'd you come up with the name Bop Design? How did that come about?
Yeah, so we had a lot of, like, when we first started, there's a lot of, smaller agencies in town, and I noticed they all were like two last names. It was like, blah blah blah, and so we didn't want it to be like Jensen and Duran. It sounds like a law firm.
Yeah.
And the best, like, when it comes to branding, one of the things I always say is, like, you want to plan for success. Like, you don't want to have to change the name. You want it to be memorable. You want it to be short, easy to say. So we came up with Bop, like, and part of it was like the bebop movement. So we're both into music, bebop from jazz.
Yeah, yeah,
We used to have a tagline called, like, "Move your business forward" when we started.
yeah.
And so it's like Bop Design, move your business forward, and that was kind of the initial, and it just stuck. So
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's got a very good vibe to it. I thought maybe it might be an acronym or something, and I was like trying to figure it out. But then, yeah, I think it's cool. Just Bop, Bebop. Yeah,
and
that's
the
pretty.
other thing too, which was another thing I always tell our clients when we do, like, naming projects, is we were able to trademark it. So there was no trademarks for it. We filed the trademark right away, bought the URL.
And when was that? That was back in when? When did you say you
That
started?
was in 2009.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So I was going to say the advantage to work with partners because I know you're the co-founder, but you work with your husband, so probably a little different, right? How
Yeah,
does that work now? Without being too personal, obviously, but what do you think are the advantages? I'm doing this. I started it at first. I was going to start with a partner, and that didn't work out. It was probably a good thing. I'm doing it myself. Um,
yeah,
but I do see the advantage, obviously. So I don't know. Maybe you could just throw something out there. Obviously nothing
definitely.
personal. Yeah. So
No, I have
what do you think of
definitely
the
a couple more thoughts
advantages?
on that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, I mean, I asked Jeremy to be my partner, not because I'm married to him, because he actually has a sales experience, and I
Yeah.
knew he took
Yeah.
things seriously. Um, so, I mean, I think the advantage of having a partner is, like, being able to, like, split your skill set. The fact that,
Yeah.
if you could find somebody, like, who's, like, I don't know, maybe like a CFO, or who can, be those other aspects of a business. When you think of starting a business, you obviously realize there's a lot of things that need to get done, like, between, like, it's kind of all the non-fun stuff, insurance and HR, and
Yeah.
legal stuff. And so I feel like, when you have a partner, at least you can, like, divide and conquer. But there are challenges to having partners. I
Yeah.
think
That
one
was
of
my
the
next
big things
question.
is, like, how are you guys on the same? Do you guys have the same vision? For
Yeah.
the organization? Do you want to manage the business the same way? Like, you may have a partner that's like, hey, this is a lifestyle business, and for another partner, it's like, no, I want to grow and sell it.
Yeah.
So, I would say there's definitely, I would always caution someone against having too many partners.
Yeah.
Some businesses they have like 3-4 partners. But, and there's advantages to not having a partner, because you can get to dictate, and just, the pro is like, hey, you run the ship, you get to make the decisions. But I guess on the other side too is, like, entrepreneurship can be lonely.
Yeah.
If you don't have, like, a peer group,
Yeah.
you're the one who's holding all the stress, and there's not a lot of people who are business owners. So
So you feel
you
from
kind of have to find your community, right? You have to kind of find other people you can talk to and commiserate with.
yeah.
So having a partner is nice
Yeah.
in that
I
way.
need a virtual hug right now. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, yeah, definitely. It's yeah.
I'm sending you virtual hugs for
Yeah. Thank you.
starting a business by yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I do think that I think the best businesses, the ones that work the most, are the people, which is a very difficult thing, is to find people that are wired differently. Because when you work with people that are all the same, it never works out. I mean, it seems to not work out, right? So and we're all, as humans, we want to gravitate toward people that are like us. But it's better to find people that are different than you, really. I mean, that's, I think that's even in love, like your relationships, but just people that are wired different. I think that's it's a great way to to run a business. So you want to make sure you have people that are totally different than you, not totally different. Obviously, have somewhat. Obviously, you need the same vision, but that people that are wired differently and that you can bring different skill sets to the table and they can challenge you and you can challenge them. So yeah, that's pretty
Exactly.
cool that you guys had that dichotomy, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
So
you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. If somebody's in charge of creative, you don't want like three creatives in a business.
no,
You want maybe.
yeah, you want people. Yeah, you need people that think differently than you, and you need to understand that. Even when it makes no sense to you, like I'm not a developer at all. I'm not tech. I'm not. I mean, I did some of it in grad school and in college, but I'm not technical at all. I understand how it works, but it's not. It's like it drives me crazy. Like if I did PhD a little bit, and I would wanted to kill myself, but I definitely am on the more creative side. I don't know about you. Are you development? You do a little
I'm
development?
definitely more creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I started out, like I did, you know, 12 years ago, God, no, it's like been 20 years. What am I talking about developing sites? It
Yeah.
was easy, it was like HTML and like simple, but I mean,
Tables.
complexity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the complexity now, I mean,
Oh,
that's one of the things in our business. We keep
yeah.
design and development separate because it's
And I think
just,
that's yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt.
oh yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to be good at both too. It's like
Yeah.
like you said, we're wired differently. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much to learn on either side. You kind of have to find a track and then find people to collaborate with.
Absolutely. And I noticed like when I went to school, I think it was print design, but I was right on the cusp when it was starting to go toward digital. And a lot of digital people were like, you have to be both a designer and a developer. And it was like this whole thing, like argument, do you have to be a designer and developer? And then obviously I always said no. And I always thought no. And then we won, obviously, because now it's gotten even more niche where not even where now it's like you're a UX designer, you're a UI designer at big firms and stuff like that. But it's like it got more and more and more niche because as the industry grew. So you don't need to know code to be a designer. You do need to understand the what can and can't be done, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to understand that before. But you need the basic understanding. But no, it's not the way it works. So
Exactly.
I think I like to take a little victory lap on that one. But anyway, so I don't know if you remember that whole argument that was going on.
No, I do. And it was funny because when when I when we got to a point where we were hiring developers and we're hiring designers, a lot of designers were like, "Well, I don't know how to code." I'm like, "I don't care." I'm like, we have
Yeah,
developers. Like, this isn't a thing. I want you to be able to understand like best practices, understand usability, have an eye for design. But it's yeah, that whole argument, I feel like it's still like sometimes you hear people that still say it and you're like, no, stop it.
yeah, and it's like it's over. You're done. And now it's getting more and more niche, and now like the internet's getting more and more complicated, where it's like you have to have a back end developer and it's like and then front end developers, UX designers and UI designers, and you can break it about depending on how big your agency is. We kind of have, where the designers here do a little bit of everything, UX and UI, but yeah, I mean, it can be broken up in more niche, the more complicated it gets and the more it's obviously intricated into, it's so intricate to our lives now. I mean, like screens aren't going anywhere, you know what I mean? Like, so that's really interesting. So how did you guys make the decision to specialize in B2B? I've been having just been thinking about that. I read a lot of articles on how you need to specialize in something, and I'm like, I love all genres of industry. So I'm like, I don't want to pick an industry. I don't want to just be e-com or that. But I also don't want to be that jack of all trades. So I'm still kind of trying to find that. But anyway, just tell us your journey on how you guys decided to just focus on B2C. I mean B2B,
yeah, no. We took a look at and I want to say we probably did it like 3, 4, I mean, it might have been even like 4 or 5 years in. Um, we took a look at like our best clients and like the types of projects we liked working on and
Mhm.
where we excelled, like where we thought like, hey, we had a good client experience and we think we brought a lot of value to that client. And, you know, as we started to focus, um, we eventually like, and we did that practice where we just like looked at our clients and our best clients, our best experiences. Like we did that almost every year. And like we kind of like slowly got to the B2B point. Then we realized we're like, hey, like our niche really is working with just B2B and basically designing sites
Yeah.
that are like prime for content marketing. So, you know, when we first started, it was like, hey, we'll work with any small and medium sized business
Okay, yeah.
and we'll do anything. We'll do social media, we'll do graphic design, we'll do
Whatever you need.
SEO. Yeah, it's like whatever you need. It was like a menu of like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, any like 16 things you can choose from. But then it was like, okay, well, you can't really do this. You know, you have like 60 open projects and, you know, maybe a third of them are actually profitable. So yeah, we slowly got to the point where we're just like, hey, we need to narrow our services
Yeah.
and we need to narrow our focus. And this is like where this is also a turning point too, where we shifted from going to like 100% inbound marketing. So getting like, if we want to spend money on advertising and AdWords and
Yeah.
you know, LinkedIn sponsored updates, we needed a focus so we could spend our money wisely. And that's why we like really focused on B2B, because I was like, this is where we can bring the most value. This is, a lot of agencies aren't competing with this work. They don't necessarily like it. And I think
Yeah.
it's cool because I'm like, we work with these like biotech companies and
Yeah.
engineering companies that are, you know, have these really complex, you know, solutions and services, but they're like changing the world. They're doing the
Yeah.
coolest stuff.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I like working with them. It excites me.
Yeah.
And they need a lot of help. Like they don't look, I'm like, there's no reason this company can't look cool, you
Yeah.
know?
Because they think they're
It's
only
like,
dealing with like we worked. I mean, I've done both. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we did
yeah, no, go ahead.
B2B. We worked for a company called Festo, and well, just that, and not and back in the day when not at my company, but they sell like robotics and stuff like that, and they're all B2B, and it's all like between, you know, it's like there's no B2C at all, right? There's no
Mhm.
consumer involved in it, but we made them realize that you can be cool, you can still be hip, and you can still sell to people. You don't always have to sell to the technical side, because, you know, there's obviously the people that they were buying, like they did like all these robotic parts and stuff like that that only someone that knew would be able to understand. But you also had to sell to the people that were just looking at the site, the people that, you know, the executives, the, you know, every people that didn't actually understand that. So there are ways to build a really cool B2B site that still speaks to the people that are, you know, that have to, you know, that still speaks to those specific people, you know, and I find that
Yeah.
really exciting. I found that really exciting doing that kind of work. So I see why you chose that.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's like at the end of the day, the thing with B2B sales, it's like it's multiple decision makers. It's the technical person, it's
Yeah.
the executive, it's everybody in between, procurement. So you have multiple decision makers, long sales cycles. I mean, your website is such a critical element and really constantly selling and like supporting that sales process. So the cooler it looks and the more it can speak to each of those like personas,
Yeah.
the better, you know. And it's a cool challenge from a design standpoint. It's like you don't need to look like, you
You
know,
don't need to be.
boring.
Yeah, and I
Especially
think a
when the
lot of
stuff you're
people.
doing isn't really boring.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, I totally agree. And I think a lot of people don't realize that even people that aren't design savvy or they don't notice design subconsciously, like, you know, just like people that walk into a store and buy the chip bag that, you know, that's not any healthier than the Doritos, but it has like this, like, nature. It has like this, like, hipster kind of branding to it with like a brown package.
Exactly.
And then they're like, oh, it has no GMOs and it must be much healthier than the Doritos, even though it's the exact, basically the same thing. So you could package things people don't even realize, I think, a lot of times
Yeah,
how much design influences them with it's unconscious. So I find that really interesting.
totally.
So what were some of the challenges how are you guys handling with COVID, and how did that hit you? It hit us a little bit hard.
Yeah.
Not terrible. We're still doing it, but what was some of the challenges you guys faced, and how did you handle those?
Yeah. Couple of things. So, we immediately saw a drop off of some clients, especially clients who's like, we had a couple of clients who's like their main customers, um, like Southwest Airlines, or their main customer is like retail, they did like IT infrastructure for like retail. And so we saw like that first week, like 2 clients that were on retainers let us go. And we've seen a mild drop in clients, but the sales is slowing down. So luckily we were like so backed up. Like we had like people that wanted us to do websites, and we're like, oh, they were like scheduled out for like May and June, or like even as far as July. So we were able to move those up and kind of make up um, that shift, that make up that kind of like lost revenue.
Yeah.
So we've been holding pretty steady, but like we're kind of getting a little nervous now. There's a couple of good things. I mean, we got the PPP money.
So that's great.
We looked at all our costs and like anything that was like absolutely not necessary and like eliminated it.
Yeah.
Our goal is to like not have to like lay anyone off or make any cuts.
Yeah, that's great.
And we're trying.
You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to make any layoffs.
No,
That's
no,
great.
not. Yeah, well, it's funny. So right now I'm in. Jeremy and I have a house here in the desert, in the California desert, in Borrego Springs, and we had a condo, like an apartment we were renting in San Diego because our office is in San Diego. So we got rid of the apartment. We got rid of we eliminated nobody can go to the office really. So we stopped paying for parking. We quit our wine clubs.
Same thing we did.
Stupid stuff.
Get rid of
But like anything we could potentially cut, we're cutting,
exactly.
and that saved us money. And then the PPP loan. So we're kind of holding steady, but fingers crossed, like we close a couple of deals here.
Yeah, I think it's going to change soon. I'm an optimistic. We didn't have to lay anybody off either, but we definitely cut some things. It's nice now. I mean, the idea of working from home and all that kind of stuff, so that cuts a lot of costs. So
definitely.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, something's going to change very quickly. But I'm hopeful. So do you think any changes that happened during COVID, that you made, will stick? Because I think there might be some things people will learn from this, that maybe you don't need to go to a campus to learn everything.
Yes.
Maybe we're starting to learn that maybe we don't have to always. And I'm a big believer in person. I love what's really sad about the COVID thing to me personally. When I walk down the streets, I see people with masks, and it's like that. Everyone walks away from each other. It's just not natural to me personally. I like to be close to people. I like social interactions, and I really miss that. So it's like kind of depressing. But that we have learned that we can do business now. That we don't really necessarily need that. So do you think a lot of these, some of these changes will stick, and just part of the way we live now?
I hope so. I mean, I think we have some clients that always wanted to do like in-person meetings, and it's just so inefficient. It's like 4 people driving up to taking a 4-hour road trip, or flying or something. And I just feel like it's unnecessary, and you can save money and be more efficient and just do business online. And then obviously like the learning and, webinars and stuff. The other thing too is like what I think from, we have a physical office where everybody could, work. But with this now, California, they allowed us to open up our office and like make it, but there was like all these things. It's like you had to be 6 feet apart, people have to wear masks,
Yeah.
and all this stuff. So we opened up our office and made it optional for people to work there. And the cool thing is, I think the one thing I've learned is like some people like really do well, like they need to be in the office and they like it.
Yeah.
And there's other people who just are fine at home. So
Yeah. Everyone. Yeah.
that may be something we like. We may always have like a small office, but it may not be. We may just keep it optional. Like, hey, if you want to go in the office, there's space for you. Yeah. But you don't have. So I think there's definitely going to be some things that shift in our own organization.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've made a point of in like our own like Bob Stein culture is we're like starting to emphasize like the, like you said, it's depressing, like walking down the street, you don't see anybody smiling and everybody's far away. And so we're starting to emphasize the importance of like mental health. So we're doing like lunch and learns about like, being resilient and like sharing resources on, through like our benefits programs. Our team has access to counselors, and as the leader of the organization, I'm concerned about everyone's mental health. I don't want them to be burnt out. Obviously, there's only so much we can do, but I think that's going to stick. I think that's going to be something I'm always going to be concerned about going forward, and make sure everyone's doing good.
Yeah, I agree. Well, the first thing you said about different people wanting to work, that goes back to the idea that people are wired differently. I personally like to work. I like to work at home 2-3 days a week and then go to the office. So I like both. I like the combination of it. But yeah, that was very interesting, very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm grabbing the wrong mouse. So as a web agency, obviously our business is very, very competitive. What would you say is your biggest differentiator? Like, what do you think that really separated you guys and made you guys stand out? Obviously the B2B. What else do you think is like, that, if you just want to throw it out there, what is your differentiator?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think one of the, so it's like the B2B, the fact that we have like the follow-on service of like content marketing. The other thing is that like everyone in our organization is like really marketing focused. So even if they're like a designer or if they're a writer, it's like we really emphasize the fact that these websites are meant for marketing and to generate leads for our clients. So that really keeps everybody in mind. Another big differentiator, I think it's like the marketing sales focus, the B2B focus. And then the other thing is we're a WordPress shop. All we do is WordPress.
Yeah, us too.
And, we create our backend. So we customize them so they're super easy for our clients. And then I think the other big thing is like, we've done it so many times. Our portfolio is big at this point. We have so many clients, so many success stories. We have a good reputation on Clutch. So, it really helps close the deals. So, it's really, I think it's like the niche, the B2B niche, the marketing sales focus, and kind of like our proven experience and reputation.
That's awesome. So content marketing, I know this is a deep question, but I'll get that quickly and then we'll jump into briefly, what would you say, like if you had to say, I know it's a terrible question, but what is content marketing, you think? Like what if you had to put it in a nutshell, like okay, you have 5 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. Take your time. But And then why is it
Con-
so important too? That's really what the question I'm going to get to. But for people out there that maybe don't know what content marketing is, what is it and why is it so important?
um, I would say, and here's how, I actually like that question. I thought it was good. Um, content marketing is basically a way to educate your prospective clients on what you do. So it's educational, it's not promotional, and the big benefit is, I think it's like the ultimate credibility builder. So you can kind of show off your knowledge and what you're good at, and teach. It's your opportunity to teach, and then at the end of the day, you have a prospective client who is more aware of what you're doing and is already bought in. Like you already have a more knowledgeable prospective client, which is going to make your life easier. So I think it's the big thing. Content marketing is basically just education.
Yeah.
Educating your client, and then the big benefit is credibility.
I'm sorry again to interrupt, but what would you say the biggest content marketing? Obviously, it would be social media, blogging. I mean, it encompasses so many things. But what would you say are the big 3 to 5 that you think that are the most important?
Yeah, I would say it's blogging is number one for sure. Number two is creating, like we refer to them as like premium content offers. So it's whether it's a guide, ebook, infographic, anything that's more robust that would take more time to read. And then social media, I would say, is the third one.
Oh, really? Social media would be third. So you think blogging is more important? That's interesting. Yeah. How do you get
I would say that is for us, like and our clients, like for
depends on the person, I guess.
I think it totally depends on, like, if you're talking to like a B2C audience, it's totally different. But for like our B2B audience, the reason we like blogging and why we think it's so important is it kind of kills two birds with one stone. It's great from a thought leadership standpoint. And it's great. You can share it over social media because you need content to share. You can put it in a newsletter. You can weave a bunch of blogs together and make a white paper out of it, or an ebook. And then the other thing is it's great for organic search. So we tie our blogging strategy to our keyword strategy, and it's 2 for 1. So that's why I would say from
it takes so long, right? Though it is a process that you have to explain. How do you explain that to clients? Because it really does take it takes at least 6 months is even like a baby step. I mean, to really make your blog powerful, it takes years, I think, really, right? Or what would you say?
It does, yeah. I mean, I would say, we started blogging as soon as we started the business, and it was like probably 5 years in 5 to 6 years in where we started getting 100% of our leads through inbound marketing.
Really?
So it's like,
it's that much of an investment,
but I mean, it can still support. And the other thing too is like the other way we approach blogging is thinking about like what clients are asking us. Like, so if you're in a sales process and clients are like, hey Matt, like, what do you think about this functionality, or what do you think about navigation, or how does your process work, or you can use those blogs to answer, take that blog, take that question, make a blog out of it. It's great because you have it for search. You can share it on social media, and then the next time a client asks that, you're like, read my blog.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've read so many content marketing. I'm not really great at writing, and I hire writers and stuff like that. So I definitely have to get back on that. But it is an amazing thing. We started this because I really don't like writing.
This is great too. I would say this is like the equivalent of blog. It's a video blog.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like people don't want to read, and it's fun too. It's fun to just meet people like. We've interviewed people from all industries, but it's really fun to interview people in the industry. Main reason, I mean, a lot of reasons, just to get insight, and also just to show that, you know, where we might be competitors in some way, but that doesn't matter. We're all in this together,
Yeah,
and you know, we can share information, and God, who knows, maybe we could help each other someday. So
totally. Yeah.
it's
I mean,
great.
we refer leads that aren't the right fit for us to other agencies all the time. So.
Yeah, and this, I would do the same thing to you. So that's great. So what would you say the most cost-effective content marketing would be? Those, let's say, if you had a limited budget, just, you know, you don't have to go deeply into that, but what do you think?
My answer was going to be blogging again because I
Blogging,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you
You got
like
to
to
do it
write,
yourself, though, right? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you like to write, it's cheap. If you have to hire writers, it's not. But then the thing is, like, if you're really good at social media, like, then that should be your avenue. For us, it's been blogging because we can have all our team members do it. But if our team members like being on video and doing interviews and stuff like this is
Yeah,
awesome. Like, this
yeah,
is
yeah,
just as good. So I don't really think it's more of a, I think you just have to pick out like what's the easiest thing for you to do and like what's
yeah.
your platform.
And
Is
what?
it YouTube? Is it you know, I don't,
Yeah,
there's so many things about social media I don't even
yeah, yeah.
know
What
about,
you could
but you know, I
sell at?
think it's
Yeah,
whatever's like the lowest hanging fruit. Wherever you can produce content frequently on a regular basis should be
yeah.
kind of the way to do it.
That's going to answer the questions that clients really want to know. I mean, like, you know, so that's I think that's key.
Exactly.
So how do you see technology changing content marketing, or just the industry in general? What do you see? Do you see any, I know it's kind of a deep question, but
No, but
what do you see as like the new, what's going to change things? Like, what do you see? What do you think is, what's your forecast for the future of
you
technology?
know, it's hard. I find that there's been a lot of technology that has made content marketing easier.
Yeah,
Um, you know, there's things like, oh, it's easier to produce email newsletters. It's easier to put pop-ups on your website. It's easier to like,
yeah,
you know, put up landing pages and, you know, whatever kind of, you know, that have like things that like help create videos. So I just feel like it's, technology is making that barrier to like creating content and like promoting it a lot easier. But you know, who knows? I don't like.
yeah, yeah.
There's so many things that could change and how people consume content.
Of course.
Um,
And
that's the thing. It's like in this industry, whether you know you do content marketing or you do websites or whatever it is, it's just like every day is a new day. It's like you just have to kind of stay on top of the trends and adapt
I
and
think,
decide, okay, is this something I want to take on or is this something I don't want to take on?
yeah, and there's no way. It's kind of really hard. I don't know. I find obviously human beings are really hard to figure out what they're going to go for. Uh, Even like when text message, I'm like, when text message, I'm embarrassed to admit this, but when texting first came out, I was like, why would anybody want to do that? Like, and now I'm like, I don't even want to call anybody. So
Right?
it's kind of funny, and now I feel so silly, but I admit that. Yeah, I definitely
No,
got
I
that.
mean, look
I
how
definitely
easy it
got
is
that
to
one. What's
look
that?
how easy it is to send a text or shoot a video on your phone and send it to someone versus having a
Yeah.
conversation. I mean,
Well, I think it was, well. First of all, when texting first started, we had to, you had to go like, you didn't have like the whole alphabet. You just had to go that, you know, like hit all the
like five
numbers.
times on the
Yeah.
number.
I was like, why would anyone want to do this? Just give me a
I
goddamn
hear you.
call, you
I
know.
was a
So
late adopter.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I said I was a late adopter to texting as well.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I'm
I'm
not the
pretty
one.
sure I had a BlackBerry when we first started our company. So.
Yeah. Remember the flip phones? Those are fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can't now. I can't live without my smartphone. If I leave the house, I have like anxiety. It's pretty sad. Um, anyway, this is always a question we ask because we're more entrepreneurial and business oriented. So, what would you say would be your like biggest advice to give to like just a new entrepreneur in general? And then we can go into specifics of what we do. What would you say is your advice for a new entrepreneur starting a business? What would you say would be the if you
My biggest thing would say is to like stay focused. So like I think it's really easy when you start a business to get like distracted or to like hear what, like chase the shiny new thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to make money doing this. I'm going to make money doing this. My clients ask for this. And it's really easy to just be like, run all over the place and like, shift your focus. But I think it's important to like, focus on the one thing that you're really good at, that you can bring value to, so that you can build a reputation on it. And then it eventually becomes easier to sell. And then once you have the income coming in, you have money and revenue, then you can maybe have the leeway to go focus on, branching out to other services or other things. But it's sometimes I just see, even when I work with clients that are startups, it's like we'll build a site for them and they're like, oh, I want to change it. I want to add this, and I want to change the message on the homepage. And you're like, this has been up for like 3 months. Like, let's run with it. Let's see. Like, you haven't tested it enough. You got to, kind of stay the course and just stay focused, and it will come. Like, if you know you're good at it and you can deliver this and it adds value, just stay focused and don't get distracted, because I think you can lose momentum.
Absolutely. I think that's been my biggest challenge. Like I said, I only started this business not even 2 years ago, but I've been in the business forever, but I just never in the managerial and owner role and sales role. And it's been like, oh my God, like, I'm just like, that didn't work. That didn't work for 1 week. I got to change that. And it's obviously a silly concept.
No, it's super. It's like the most common thing I see, and it's hard. It's hard not to. It's like your natural instinct. You're like, oh, this person wants this, and maybe I can figure out how to do it. And then you're like, And we've done that. Like we've made the mistakes. Like I remember we had a client one time. They wanted, and I think this may go into one of your other questions. I'm sorry if I'm pre-answering it, but
go ahead.
Like, we had a couple of clients that wanted e-commerce sites, and I had a developer who was like, oh yeah, we can do that. And then we started working with it, and we were like, I don't know how to market an e-commerce site. I don't know what's needed. I don't know anything about shipping or taxes or all this stuff. And you realize how complex it is. And then you get into a situation and you're like, holy shit, like, I'm on the client signed a contract for us to deliver this, and you're not like, and this is like early on, and you're like, you're like, oh, and I don't know if I can deliver it. And like, we ended up delivering it, but it was like,
you figure it out.
I didn't feel good about it. It's not like I was like, I'm like, hopefully this works. And it's just like, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. I'm like, that stress and that, like, I was like, we have to focus on the things that we're good at, because people need it, and we just need to, we need more leads or more opportunities to bid on the things that we excel in, and we know it's out there. It's just a matter of like marketing it and finding it.
So I think that kind of answered the question a little bit about being specific about, I was going to ask your advice on starting your own, web or digital agency. What are the major factors for success? And I guess you kind of said a lot of those things, right? Just kind of the same, right?
I would say focus and, finding.
Be ready to fail, right?
Yeah. Finding like, partners or, employees that, share your vision, that, can keep you in line. But I would say staying focused is like the biggest thing.
So what have you found to be the most successful way to market your own agency? How did you guys get, to build up in the beginning, or even now? What do you guys do? What's your strategy?
Yeah, so our, when we started, we had more time than we had money. So we did a lot of networking and, built relationships, which were good, it was great. But then you realize, okay, this is only gonna get you so far. And then we, really narrowed our focus, and then we were able to go to 100% inbound marketing. And that has been the best way to market our business. So, there's a kind of like a 3-prong approach. We have, paid search, organic search, and then content marketing. And, that we distribute on the web. We do, content, we do guest blogging, social media, So it's basically 100% like inbound. We don't do any outreach or anything. And it's great because we get a lot of leads, and then it's just more about qualifying them.
That's interesting. Now, for the people out there that don't know what inbound marketing, and I've read
Sure.
I've read 3 books on it, and I'm still a little confused. But I guess I don't work that way. I get it, but how would you explain it? And maybe you could explain to the people out there what inbound
Totally.
marketing is and why it's so important, because it obviously is. And I know it, but I'll let
Yeah,
you.
no, happy to. So there's basically 2 types of marketing. There's outbound and inbound. And outbound is like when you're searching out clients. Like, hey, maybe you know clients that you want to sell to. It's like a door-to-door salesman, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're doing cold calls. Maybe you're, buying lists. Maybe you're going to like trade show events. So basically, it's like you're out pounding, like I always say, like you're pounding the pavement, you're out and about,
Yeah.
and you're kind of spreading the word about your business. Inbound is basically where people are calling you up. They're calling you up or they're filling out forms on your website. They're coming into you.
Bringing people to you, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you're bringing people to you.
The art of
we've been, yeah. And, it takes time. So, and that's like the one thing, like we always say to our clients, like when we say like, hey, we want to generate sales online or leads online and generate interest and like form completions, like that's all part of inbound marketing. And we look at content marketing as part of inbound marketing, and even doing what else? Oh yeah, like AdWords and SEO is like part of our inbound like marketing approach. So we're basically, our whole goal is to get people to come to us and find us and like seek us out. So we're not going to trade show events anymore, and we're not cold calling people, and we're not putting out emails that are to purchase lists or anything. If we market, if we put out emails, it's to our database of contacts, a database that we've helped.
That saves a lot.
The other thing we've done is actually super critical is using review sites. So we are on Clutch, and we have our clients, like if they have a good experience, we ask them, like, hey, if you're up for it, can you give us a review on Clutch? And it's basically like the Yelp for agencies and other professional services. So we have, according to Clutch, we're the #1 like web design agency in North America. But it's a cool platform. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, and we get a ton of leads off of that. People like finding us on Clutch and then calling us up or filling out a web form.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what was I don't want to say your favorite project because you don't want to insult anybody, but what was one of the most challenging projects you've worked on that was kind of, that was just very fulfilling and exciting, and it pushed me to the edge, but it was rewarding. What were the most rewarding aspects of it? And if you can give us a little bit, you don't have to mention names, but it's up to you. However you.
Yeah, I'll withhold the names, but
okay.
We had a client, I want to say 4 years ago.
The client type, what is it? What industry was it?
Oh, it's an engineering firm. They do like, they do testing for like automotive and airplanes and like safety.
Okay.
And it's a huge engineering firm. Okay. Huge. And there were a lot of decision makers. So like typically when we do like creative discovery, we'll have maybe like 5 people in a room, 5 people that may be involved in the project. And there was like 14 people we interviewed separately. Lots of decision makers, lots of different divisions. And it was really, really challenging to get people on the same page, it was a very big site. I had literally everyone on my team working on that project. And it didn't go so well. It didn't like, I mean, it got up, it looked great, but it was very choppy. Like there were parts of the project where there's a lot of like, animosity and just challenge. Like there's like heated discussions and
Of course, yeah.
People were frustrated, but it got up and we like celebrated. We had like we took everyone out to like dinner,
Yeah.
like a party when it went up. And, I didn't think, I was like,
some drinks after that one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like probably a 6-month project. It was, it was pretty long.
Grueling.
And, and I didn't think, we were kind of like, I don't think they were really happy when it was done and it was up, and we were happy it was done. But it was kind of like, I figured like, hey, that was going to be it. And then we're going to like move forward, just like be done, like there's like, we weren't going to try and upsell them on any other services. We didn't really want to work with them, or I don't think they wanted to work with us either. But I mean, literally from that, we had them reach out 2 other times over the course of the next few years to do more work. And then the CEO left that organization and hired us at another company to do the website. He's like, I can't believe you guys got that website done. He's like, I know it was tough. He's like, you guys did an excellent job. He's like, you stuck through it. And he went to another organization and hired us to do their website. So it was awesome. Like that's rewarding when you're like, okay, like he realized like we worked hard and stuck through it.
Yeah. So it was just like a by committee kind of thing, which is ridiculous. It's always a difficult thing, like, the judgment, I forget what's the saying, something by committee, but it I forget the saying, but you know what I mean. But it's like we always try to say like we need one person to be the decision maker. It's hard to do that though, obviously, with the big job, because you don't want to get people pissed off. But you kind of need someone internally to handle all that other bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, and then have one or a few people to talk to. But you think that I guess that's impossible with certain jobs, right? So you kind of have to just.
Sometimes clients have to come to their own conclusions, and they eventually did. They eventually were filtering it all through, one marketing / engineering person, and then. We work with a lot of engineers, and they're very specific. So on like what they want to see, and that was like very especially challenging. But it worked out, and everything. Even though like it was kind of tough, I think we preserved our reputation. We don't have any hard feelings toward them. It was just it was a challenging situation, and I'm happy that we've had like relationships with the people we've worked with on that project since. So that's
awesome. So have you become more a little more demanding? Like, it's hard to kind of figure out how demanding as an agency you should be with clients, right? Because you do have to kind of keep them in line a little bit before they'll go crazy, right? They'll start scope creeping, and then you'll have 1,000 people involved, and it could just turn into a nightmare. Did that teach you to be a little more firm with clients, or a little bit?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Every time, like it's almost every website project you learn something. But especially the big ones, you're like, I gotta. Yeah, I would have definitely managed that scope differently. I would have managed the initial meetings differently. And so, we don't run into those issues anymore. But you're always learning.
Stand your ground now. You just let them know. Well, this has been an excellent conversation. I really appreciate you doing this. It's been excellent. I really like your work, and thank you very much for coming on the show. Is there anything you'd like to say to everybody out there? We know that everyone can find you. Tell everybody your URL.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Well, hey,
it's Bob. I know it's Bob Design, but what is it? Bob Design.
BobDesign.com.
It's just BobDesign.com. Okay, I didn't want to mess that up.
Super easy.
And is there anything else you want to plug or throw out there that people should look at? Please.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say go to our website, sign up for our newsletter if you want to, if you're in the marketing space, content marketing space, digital space. We put out a newsletter every month. It has a bunch of good insights. Um, if you're looking for a new website, you can always check out our portfolio, see if it's in line with your stuff. But also, Matt, I really appreciate you inviting me to talk, and I wish you nothing but the best. And if you ever have anything, you need any advice, you want to bounce an idea off of me, feel free to, reach out. I'm here.
Be careful. I might take advantage of that.
Agency owners need to unite. Yeah.
It's been fun. Fermented Pixels, thanks you. I'm going to pause the video and then we'll say goodbye after that, but I really appreciate it. And I don't know if you have a drink, but cheers. Thank
Cheers.
you. Oh, yeah.
Cheers. We got some tea here.
Me too. It's tea. All right. Thank you very much. And I'm going to pause the video and we'll say goodbye. Take care.